Ever wonder why your perfectly packed medications got you detained at security last month while other passengers sailed through? Think following basic packing rules protects you in 2025? Wrong. There are 7 packing secrets that could destroy your trip before you even board the plane. Let's go. The 2025 carry-on packing rule that's trapping seniors. You've always packed your medications the same way for years. Pills in their original bottles, tucked safely in your carry-on bag, maybe a few extras for emergencies. You follow the golden rule. Never put medications in checked luggage. This approach has worked flawlessly for decades. Wrong. Here's what they don't tell you about packing medications in 2025. New TSA screening technologies rolled out this year are flagging medication combinations that never caused problems before. Advanced screening equipment can now detect chemical signatures in ways that create false alarms with common senior medication combinations. But here's the kicker. If you pack multiple medications together in the same compartment of your carry-on, the new scanning technology can't separate the chemical signatures. Your blood pressure medication mixed with your diabetes drugs creates a confusing reading that triggers additional screening every single time. TSA's new computed tomography scanners, deployed in major airports throughout 2025, use advanced algorithms that flag medication combinations as potential threats. The problem? These machines weren't properly calibrated for the complex medication regimens that seniors typically carry. Studies show that seniors take an average of 4.7 prescription medications daily, but the new TSA systems were designed expecting 1 to 2 medications per passenger. When you pack your morning pills, afternoon pills, and evening pills all together, you're basically guaranteeing a security delay. But it gets worse. The new screening process requires TSA officers to physically inspect every medication that triggers an alarm. With seniors carrying more medications than any other age group, you're automatically tagged for longer screening times. Here's what's really alarming. TSA officers are now required to document medication combinations that trigger repeated alarms. If your specific combination gets flagged multiple times, you could be placed on a watch list that guarantees extra screening on every future flight. The most shocking part, airports with the new technology are seeing 40% longer screening times for passengers over 65. But TSA isn't warning seniors about this delay when they pack. What to do? Pack medications in separate small containers within your carry-on, not all together in one pill organizer. Use individual Ziploc bags for different medication types. Pack morning, afternoon, and evening pills in completely separate compartments of your carry-on bag. Arrive at the airport 30 minutes earlier than recommended to account for additional screening time. The hidden liquid medication. Packing disaster. You know liquid medications are exempt from the 3-1-1 rule, so you pack that large bottle of prescription cough syrup right in your carry-on bag. TSA says liquids over 3.4 ounces are allowed for medical purposes. You're following their published guidelines perfectly. Think again. Here's what the TSA doesn't want you to discover about liquid medication packing in 2025. You must remove all liquid medications from your carry-on bag and place them in separate bins for screening. But here's the deadly part. If you pack liquid medications deep in your carry-on bag mixed with other items, TSA officers will dig through your entire bag in front of other passengers. Your prescription insulin that needs to stay cool? It's sitting on a security counter for 15 minutes while officers examine every item in your bag. Your liquid heart medication that's temperature sensitive? It's exposed to heat while they verify every other liquid you're carrying. But it gets worse. TSA's new liquid testing equipment in 2025 requires larger samples for testing. They may need to open your medication bottles and use specialized testing strips that can contaminate your medication. If the test fails or shows anomalies, your medication gets confiscated permanently. Here's the kicker. If you pack liquid medications in containers larger than 12 ounces, even though they're medically necessary, TSA may require additional documentation that most seniors don't know they need. Your doctor's note might not be sufficient for large quantities. The most shocking revelation? TSA officers are instructed to test liquid medications for explosive residue, and certain senior medications can trigger false positives. Your innocent liquid medication could test positive for bomb-making materials due to chemical interactions. But here's what's really terrifying. If your liquid medication fails the explosive test, not only is it confiscated, but you could face additional security screening, missed flights, and potential law enforcement involvement. Your life-saving medication becomes evidence in a security investigation. The industry hopes you never find out that ice packs and cooling gels for medication storage also count as liquids under TSA rules. If you pack too many cooling packs with your medications, you could exceed limits that most seniors don't know exist. What to do? Pack liquid medications in the top, easily accessible section of your carry-on. Use the smallest containers possible and get multiple smaller bottles instead of one large one. Keep liquid medications separate from cooling packs and other liquids. Bring backup documentation for any liquid over 8 ounces. Pack a thermometer to verify medication hasn't been damaged by temperature exposure during screening. The multi-medication packing trap that's destroying senior travel. You organize your 7 daily medications in a convenient weekly pill organizer, each compartment labeled with days and times, everything perfectly sorted for your trip. It's the most logical way to pack multiple medications for seniors who need to stay organized. Wrong. Here's what they don't tell you about packing multiple medications together, and it's creating legal nightmares for seniors in 2025. TSA considers unmarked pills mixed together in pill organizers as potential drug trafficking, regardless of your age or obvious medical need. When you combine multiple different pills in the same container, even in a legal pill organizer, TSA officers cannot verify what each pill is or whether you're legally authorized to carry it. Your innocent weekly organizer looks exactly like what drug dealers use to transport illegal substances. But here's the kicker. TSA's 2025 guidelines specifically warn about mixed pharmaceutical substances in unmarked containers as a security risk. Your legal pill organizer falls directly into this category, triggering mandatory additional screening. Studies from airport security show that seniors using pill organizers face 3.2 times more secondary screening than those with medications in original bottles. You're essentially guaranteeing delays every time you fly with that convenient organizer. But it gets worse. If TSA cannot identify specific pills in your organizer, they may confiscate the entire container and contact local law enforcement. Your heart medication mixed with your diabetes pills could be treated as an unidentified drug mixture requiring investigation. Here's what's really alarming. Some states have laws requiring prescription medications to be in their original labeled containers. If you're flying through certain states with mixed pills and organizers, you could face state-level drug possession charges, even for legal prescriptions. The most shocking part, TSA officers are trained to look for signs of drug trafficking, and seniors with multiple medications in pill organizers fit several warning profiles. Mixing different colored pills, carrying large quantities, and having pills without original labels all trigger suspicion. The industry hopes you never discover that travel-sized pill organizers actually increase your risk compared to bringing full prescription bottles. The smaller the container, the more suspicious TSA becomes about why you're concealing the original packaging. What to do? Keep all medications in original prescription bottles, even for short trips. If you must use a pill organizer, pack only 1 day's worth and keep original bottles with you. Take photos of all prescription labels before traveling. Consider getting travel-sized prescription bottles from your pharmacist with proper labels. The emergency medication backup. Packing mistake. You pack a few extra days' worth of medications in your checked luggage, just in case your flight gets delayed or your carry-on gets lost. Smart planning for a senior traveler who can't afford to run out of critical medications. Think again. Here's what the airlines don't want you to know about packing backup medications in checked luggage in 2025. Cargo holds on commercial aircraft can reach temperatures of 70 degrees at altitude and over 120 degrees on tarmacs, destroying most medications regardless of their normal temperature tolerance. Your backup insulin that you thought was safely stored in checked luggage? It's been frozen solid and thawed multiple times during your flight, making it completely ineffective and potentially dangerous. Your blood pressure medication that seemed fine in the bottle? Temperature cycling has broken down the active ingredients. But here's the kicker. Airlines updated their liability policies in 2025 to specifically exclude medication damage in checked luggage. Even if you can prove your medications were destroyed by temperature exposure, the airline owes you nothing. Pharmaceutical studies show that temperature cycling between extreme cold and heat, which happens in every checked bag, can reduce medication effectiveness by up to 80%. Your backup medications might be completely useless when you need them most, but it gets worse. Baggage handling systems in 2025 use more automated sorting that creates more violent impacts. Your carefully packed pills could be crushed to powder by conveyor belt systems before your bag even gets on the plane. Here's what's really terrifying. If your checked bag gets lost, which happens to 0.4% of all checked bags, you could arrive at your destination with no medications and no way to get emergency refills in a foreign country. Your backup plan becomes a health crisis. The most shocking revelation: TSA sometimes opens checked luggage for inspection and may not properly repack medications. Your pills could spill out, get mixed together, or be left exposed to additional temperature damage during security screening. Airlines hope you never find out that checked luggage screening includes X-ray machines that can damage certain medications, particularly those containing radiation-sensitive compounds used in some cancer treatments. What to do? Never pack any medications in checked luggage, even as backups. Split your medication supply between 2 carry-on bags if traveling with a companion. Pack extra medications in a separate section of the same carry-on. Get additional prescriptions from your doctor before traveling. Consider medication insurance for expensive prescriptions. The 2025 documentation packing requirements seniors don't know. You pack your medications with a simple doctor's note explaining your medical conditions. The letter is on official letterhead, signed by your physician, and lists all your prescriptions. You think you've covered all the documentation requirements? Wrong. Here's what the medical industry doesn't tell you about medication documentation requirements that changed in 2025. TSA now requires specific information in medical letters that most doctors don't include unless you specifically request it. Your doctor's letter needs to include generic drug names, not just brand names, because TSA officers are trained to recognize chemical compounds, not marketing names. When your letter says Lipitor but doesn't mention atorvastatin, TSA can't verify what you're actually carrying. But here's the kicker. TSA's 2025 guidelines require medical letters to include dosage schedules and quantity justifications for travel periods longer than 30 days. If you're taking a 3-month cruise and pack 90 days of medication, you need documentation explaining why you need that quantity. Recent policy updates require letters to include your doctor's DEA number for any controlled substances, contact information for verification, and specific language about medical necessity. Most standard doctor's notes include none of this critical information, but it gets worse. If you're carrying medical devices like insulin pens, inhalers, or EpiPens, you need separate documentation for the devices themselves, not just the medication. TSA treats devices and medications as different categories requiring different paperwork. Here's what's really alarming. TSA officers are now checking documentation against national prescription databases for controlled substances. If your paperwork doesn't match exactly what's in the system, you could face drug enforcement investigations. The most shocking part? Many doctors are unaware of the new TSA documentation requirements, so they're providing letters that don't meet 2025 standards. Your doctor's standard letter might be completely inadequate for air travel. Healthcare providers hope you never discover that some medications require advance approval letters from TSA for quantities over certain limits. These approvals can take weeks to process, and most seniors don't know they exist. What to do? Request letters with both brand and generic drug names. Ask your doctor to include their DEA number and direct contact information. Get separate device documentation for medical equipment. Include dosage schedules and travel duration justification. Request letters at least 30 days before travel to allow time for corrections. The medical device. Packing nightmare. Targeting seniors. You pack your insulin pump, CPAP machine, and blood pressure monitor in your carry-on bag. These are essential medical devices that you use daily. TSA guidelines clearly state medical devices are allowed in carry-on luggage. Think again. Here's what the medical device industry doesn't want you to know about packing medical devices in 2025. TSA's new screening procedures require all electronic medical devices to be removed from carry-on bags and screened separately. But many seniors' devices contain lithium batteries that trigger additional security protocols. Your CPAP machine that helps you breathe at night? It must be removed from your bag, powered on to prove it works, and may require additional explosive testing that could damage sensitive electronics. The screening process alone can take 20 minutes per device. But here's the kicker. If your medical device battery shows any signs of damage, corrosion, or unusual wear, TSA may confiscate the entire device as a potential fire hazard. Your life-supporting equipment becomes a security threat over a scratched battery case. TSA's 2025 protocols require seniors to demonstrate that all electronic medical devices are functional during screening. If your device malfunctions or won't turn on due to low battery, it may be confiscated regardless of medical necessity. But it gets worse. Medical devices with data storage, like glucose monitors or heart rate monitors, may require additional screening to ensure they're not hiding prohibited materials. TSA officers may need to access device menus and settings, potentially deleting your stored health data. Here's what's really terrifying. If you pack multiple medical devices in the same bag, TSA may require you to remove all electronics from your carry-on for individual screening. Your bag could be completely unpacked in public while officers examine each device. The most shocking revelation? Some medical devices trigger false positives on explosive detection equipment due to their electronic signatures. Your insulin pump could be flagged as a potential bomb trigger, leading to extensive additional screening. Device manufacturers hope you never find out that TSA screening procedures can void warranties on some medical equipment. The X-ray exposure and physical handling required for security screening may damage devices in ways not covered by manufacturer guarantees. What to do? Pack medical devices in easily accessible sections of carry-on bags. Ensure all batteries are fully charged before travel. Bring backup batteries and charging cables in case devices drain during screening. Keep device manuals and registration information with you. Consider backup manual devices for critical functions. The prescription refill packing crisis. You pack exactly the amount of medication you need for your trip, maybe 1 or 2 extra days worth just to be safe. You calculate precisely based on your travel dates and normal dosing schedule. Efficient packing that doesn't waste space or medication. Wrong. Here's what the pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to know about packing medication quantities for travel in 2025. Flight delays, weather cancellations, and airport shutdowns are at record highs, and seniors are getting stranded without enough medication to last extended delays. When you pack just enough medication for your planned trip, you're gambling with your health on airline performance that has deteriorated significantly in 2025. Average flight delays are now 45% longer than pre-pandemic levels, and cancellations can strand you for days. But here's the kicker. If you get stranded away from home without sufficient medication, emergency refills can cost 10 to 20 times your normal copay. Your $10 blood pressure medication could cost $200 for an emergency refill at an airport pharmacy. Pharmacies in airports and popular tourist destinations have learned to exploit stranded travelers. They charge premium prices for emergency prescriptions, and your insurance may not cover out-of-network emergency fills. But it gets worse. Many medications require specific authorization codes or pre-approvals that can take 24-48 hours to process. If you run out of critical medication on a weekend or holiday, you could wait days for emergency refills even if you're willing to pay premium prices. Here's what's really alarming. Some medications, particularly controlled substances, cannot be refilled as emergency prescriptions in certain states or countries. If you run out of anxiety medication or pain medication while stranded, you could face dangerous withdrawal symptoms with no legal way to get refills. The most shocking part, travel insurance doesn't typically cover emergency medication costs, and your health insurance may deny claims for out-of-network emergency refills. You're financially responsible for premium prices when you're most vulnerable. The industry hopes you never discover that some popular travel destinations have limited pharmacy access or don't carry American medication formulations. Your specific brand or dosage might not exist where you're traveling. What to do? Pack at least 7 to 10 extra days of all medications beyond your planned trip length. Split supplies between multiple bags and locations. Get 90-day prescriptions before travel instead of 30-day supplies. Research pharmacy locations at your destination before traveling. Keep emergency contact information for your doctors and pharmacists. Conclusion. So there you have it. 7 medication packing secrets that could save your trip, your health, and your wallet in 2025. From new TSA screening technology that's specifically targeting senior medication combinations to emergency refill costs that could bankrupt you during travel delays, the rules have changed dramatically this year. The 2025 carry-on packing changes alone are catching seniors off guard with new screening delays and technology that wasn't designed for complex medication regimens. Liquid medication packing now requires specific techniques to avoid contamination and confiscation. Multi-medication packing mistakes are triggering drug trafficking investigations for innocent seniors. But here's the truth. The travel industry doesn't want you to know about these new packing requirements because informed seniors ask harder questions and demand better accommodations. Airlines profit when you're unprepared and desperate for emergency refills at premium prices. The most shocking revelation? Simple packing mistakes that worked fine in 2024 could land you in legal trouble, strand you without medication, or cost you thousands in emergency prescription costs in 2025. The industry hopes you'll discover these problems only after it's too late to fix them. Which of these 7 packing secrets surprised you most? The new TSA technology targeting seniors? The temperature destruction in checked bags? The documentation requirements most doctors don't know about? Share your own medication packing disasters in the comments. Your experience could save another senior traveler. Don't let the travel industry catch you unprepared. Share this video with every senior traveler you know because proper packing preparation could literally save their life. The industry is counting on you staying uninformed about these 2025 changes. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because next week we're exposing the hidden airline policies about senior medical emergencies that could leave you stranded at 30,000 feet with no help. Trust me, they definitely don't want you prepared for what's coming.